Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. In the complex and often opaque world of international finance and foreign currency investment, particularly when it involves emerging or post-conflict economies like Iraq, there exists a fundamental principle that seasoned investors and insiders understand implicitly. Not everything is meant for public consumption. Those with a legitimate need to know, whether they are institutional players, financial authorities, multinational partners, or high-level consultants engaged in sensitive investment matters, are the ones granted access to the data that matters most. These individuals and entities are not given frivolous promises or speculative dates about when major monetary policy changes will occur. They are not receiving date and rate information, as many casual investors sometimes hope for or expect. Rather, what they are provided is access to actionable, accurate, and up-to-date information, often delivered in confidence, because they operate within frameworks where transparency and strategic timing must be carefully balanced. The nature of such information is rarely sensational. It's not packaged in headlines or viral social media posts. Instead, it's typically circulated in discreet briefings, policy meetings, or through economic bulletins distributed among financial institutions, government agencies, or multinational organizations. These stakeholders rely on structured, verified intelligence to make decisions, intelligence that is grounded in economic fundamentals, political realities, and the forward-looking trajectories of reform and development. In Iraq's case, these reform efforts are significant, and they are happening in the background even when the public discourse may seem stagnant or unclear. What's taking place behind closed doors is often far more telling than any speculative news story or rumor floating around online. That requires work. It requires study. And, perhaps most importantly, it requires discernment, an ability to tell the difference between sensationalism and substance. There is an entire world of knowledge out there waiting to be engaged with, and much of it is freely available to those who know where to look. Central bank publications, Ministry of Planning reports, statements from the IMF, economic white papers, legal reform updates, interviews with key advisors, all of these are public documents that offer a far clearer picture of Iraq's trajectory than any self-styled currency guru or anonymous internet account ever could. And yet, many investors overlook these resources. Why? Partly because real information is often boring. It lacks the excitement of rumors, the rush of hope tied to sudden wealth, or the comfort of a specific date to circle on a calendar. But this is exactly where the maturity of an investor is tested. The truly informed, the ones who act based on data and context rather than emotional impulses, are those who will stand the best chance of making wise, grounded decisions. They understand that monetary reform, especially in a country like Iraq, is a process, not a moment. It's also worth emphasizing that Iraq's current trajectory, from a financial standpoint, is increasingly promising. Over the past several years, the country has taken serious steps to overhaul its banking system. New platforms have been introduced to monitor cross-border transactions. Anti-corruption frameworks have been strengthened. Private banks have been pushed to adhere to international standards. A shift toward electronic payment systems has begun, and the government is working to reduce dependency on informal economic activity. Iraq is also slowly moving toward WTO accession, further signaling its intent to align with global trade and financial norms. These changes are not cosmetic. They are structural and foundational. But again, unless an investor is actively following these developments, these realities can go unnoticed. The attention span of the average retail investor is often dominated by narratives that are dramatic but shallow. Is the dinar going to revalue tomorrow? Has someone high up leaked a date? Is there a secret plan that the public isn't allowed to know? These questions, while understandable from a human curiosity perspective, are largely distractions. They are not the questions that serious investors are asking. Serious investors are looking at fiscal policy, monetary tightening or easing, real effective exchange rates, inflation control, central bank independence, and the regulatory maturity of financial institutions. They are asking, what reforms are being passed by Parliament? What does the IMF Article 4 consultation say? How is Iraq dealing with US dollar outflows? These are the building blocks of any real change to a currency's status. This is why now is such an important moment to focus, to recalibrate expectations and concentrate on what actually matters. If you hold Iraqi dinar, This is your time to truly understand the asset you own. Not to speculate wildly, but to grasp its value within a national, regional, and global context. You should be asking yourself, what is Iraq's long-term economic plan? How will its energy wealth be translated into financial sustainability? What role will international companies play in building infrastructure and employment? How is monetary policy being reoriented to support growth while controlling inflation? What are Iraq's long-term trade goals, and how does its financial system need to evolve to support them? These are not rhetorical questions. They are invitations to deeper inquiry and better decision-making. They represent a call to maturity in investment thinking, a shift from reactive to proactive, from passive hope to engaged understanding. If you're holding a currency that is part of one of the world's most intricate reform projects, you owe it to yourself to understand what that means. The value of the dinar is not just a number on a screen. It's a reflection of Iraq's entire economic transformation. And whether that transformation culminates in a higher exchange rate or not, the journey itself is what determines value in the long run. So yes, the media is being held accountable, and rightly so. The flow of information is becoming more responsible, more scrutinized, and more aligned with institutional realities. And as this trend continues, investors who are prepared, who are informed and who have done their due diligence, will be in a far better position to respond wisely to whatever changes come. This is not a guessing game. It's not about dreams of instant riches. It's about staying grounded, staying alert, and treating your investment with the seriousness it deserves. In the end, the most empowering thing an investor can do is take ownership of their knowledge. To stop waiting for others to tell them what might happen, and instead begin to understand what is already happening. Because the real value is not just in the dinar you hold, it's in the knowledge you build and the wisdom you apply in navigating its future. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed and stay ready.